สวัสดีค่ะ Good morning. We will begin the opening ceremony in such a short moment. Professor Dr. Vijit Sisaan, the president of the ceremony, Associate Professor Dr. Chanita Rak Polamuang, heads of the three divisions, Faculty of Education, Chulalongkorn University, Dr. Gerald Groves, distinguished colleagues from Walai Alongkorn Ratchapat University and elsewhere, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third Professor Vijit Sisaan public lecture on creating sustainable change in education in Thailand, an inside-out look at nation building, regionalization, and globalization. I am Thanasiri Chara'am, a PhD student from the Division of Higher Education. It is truly my pleasure and honor to be a moderator for this very exceptional occasion. The function this year is jointly organized by the three divisions under the Department of Educational Policy, Management, and Leadership, which are Division of Educational Administration, Higher Education, and Education Supervision. The purposes of this gathering is not only to show a great respect and gratitude to our Professor Vijit, but also to be a venue for knowledge sharing and academic relationship building among professionals, alumni, and current students of the Faculty of Education. Additionally, the invitation is open to all of those who seek knowledge in the field of education. So on behalf of the organizing committee, we truly appreciate your presence today. And in order to officially begin the program, may I invite Professor Dr. Vijit Sisaan, the president of the ceremony, to kindly light candles of worship and pay homage to the triple gem. Please. And at this moment, may I request the presence of the Department Chair, Associate Professor Dr. Chanita Rak Polamuang, to kindly present a report to the President of the ceremony.
Professor Vijit Sisaan, Dr. Gerald Groves, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Department of Educational Policy, Management and Leadership, I am very pleased and honored to extend the warmest welcome to all of you who have dedicated your valuable time to participate in this special lecture hosted by our department. The Professor Vijit Sisaan Public Lecture Project took shape in 2009 in honor of Professor Dr. Vijit Sisaan, former Minister of Education, ex-faculty member and chairperson of Educational Administration and Higher Education, who has significantly contributed to Thai education. Under his unfailing support and encouragement, the Professor Vijit Sisaan Public Lecture has become a vital part of academic conference projects under the cooperation between faculty members of 3 divisions in our department: Department of Educational Policy, Management and Leadership, Faculty of Education, Division of Educational Administration, Division of Higher Education, and Division of Educational Supervision. This public lecture project mainly aims to transfer and disseminate bodies of knowledge in education, promote creative and analytical thinking in the areas of educational administration, higher education, and educational supervision, as well as to widen an opportunity for faculty members and scholars, alumni, and students to exchange knowledge and experiences, as well as to strengthen relationship between policymakers, school managers, executive officers, academics, and practitioners in these areas. Under this annually arranged project, we have invited distinguished speakers from the fields of educational administration and supervision, higher education, human resource management, and the related areas to express their views on a given topic of public interest. It is highly hoped that this will provide all persons related to educational profession with critical insights into various aspects of education and human resource development. For the third Professor Vijit Sisaan Public Lecture, we are all gathered here to record our gratitude to Dr. Gerald Groves, Professor of Leadership and Change Management from Graduate Schools of Leadership, Duke University, Pittsburgh, United States of America. Dr. Groves has an international reputation as the leading consultant and a master trainer in the fields of organizational development, human resource development, leadership, change, and cross-cultural conflict management. With his internationally recognized expertise and experiences, he is going to give a lecture on creating sustainable change in education in Thailand, an inside-out look at nation building, regionalization, and globalization. On this auspicious occasion, may I have the honor to invite Professor Vijit Sisaan to open the third Professor Vijit Sisaan Public Lecture. Thank you.
Associate Professor Chanika Rakulamun, Head of the Department of Educational Policy, Management and Leadership, Dr. Gerald Groves, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great pleasure and honor for me today to preside over third Professor Vijit Sisaan Public Lecture. On this very special occasion, I'm pleased and honored to extend a warmest welcome to our honorable speaker, Dr. Gerald Groves, Professor of Leadership and Change Management from the field of organizational development, human resource development, leadership, change, and cross-cultural conflict management. His lecture on creating sustainable change in education in Thailand and inside outlook at nation building, regionalization and globalization becomes an issue which is very typical in the present and national and international context. As we are aware, as a result of globalization, all of us have been trying to adapt our economic and social mechanisms as well as educational systems to respond to the new requirements of global market and to keep abreast of changes in this knowledge-driven economy. Thus, we need to discover practical approaches to effectively manage education, as well as to efficiently prepare our human resources in order to create and sustain indispensable transformation for our country to successfully conquer and challenges of national building in the era of regionalization and globalization. I would like to take this opportunity to express my thankful appreciation to the Division of Educational Administration, Higher Education, and Educational Supervision in the name of the Department of Educational Policy, Management, and Leadership, Faculty of Education, Chulalongkorn University, for their active cooperation in organizing such a special event where faculty members, academics, scholars, school managers, executive officers from educational institutions and organizations, educators and students, and from various institutions are assembled to exchange their ideas and experiences about intriguing and thought-provoking topics of educational changes, sustainability, as well as institution and nation building. On this hopeful note, I'm confident that Dr. Grove's rich experience in national and international scenes will help us put into perspective the benefits of our educational community as a member of ASEAN countries will derive from cooperating enthusiastically and fruitfully in a well-defined manner to implement a sustainable change in education and national, region, and global levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your warm welcoming and opening speech. And before we proceed to the special lecture session, please allow me to briefly introduce our guest speaker of today. Dr. Gerald Groves is one of the world-renowned expertises with over 30 years of worldwide experiences in the field of consulting and training. He completed his first PhD at the University of Pittsburgh in the field of organizational, cross-cultural, small group, and interpersonal communication. And he also completed his coursework for his second PhD in leadership management, organizational development, and international development education, with additional training from the National Training Labs for Behavioral Science in Maine, the US of A. His advanced knowledge and extensive experiences allowed him to work closely with several international organizations. He is a senior consultant at the World Bank, the UNDP, the ILO, the US Agency for International Development, and now he's holding a position as the president of the Interface Management, the international training and management consulting company. His significant clients are ranging from governments and public sectors in various countries to several international companies all over the world. By saying several, I mean a lot, many, huge numbers of companies all over the world. And today we hope that Dr. Grove would be happy to share with us on the topic of creating sustainable change in education in Thailand, an inside-out look at nation building, regionalization, and globalization. So please welcome Dr. Gerald Groves.
Okay, Sawadee krap. For those of you who have the misfortune for sitting in the front row, I apologize. I tend to talk with my hands. That means you could floats out of my hand at any time during the process. What I'd like to do is to take a different view of education. I do not come to you as a specialist on education in Thailand. I appreciate educational achievements of Thailand, but my perspective is to look on a more broad, regional, and global perspective. I began my career internationally in 1977 in West Africa and Nigeria. Since then, I've worked in 42 countries from Africa to Asia. So my perspective is going to be broad-based, and I'd like you to be able to see developments from that point of view. Now, a couple things just to start. Everything that I have here, with the exception of 6 or 7 slides, you already have in your packet. I always hated to take notes. Second, in looking at our process, I prefer if you could hold questions till the end of the presentation. I'd be very happy to try to do my best to answer your questions at that time. Okay? Globalization. We are not just talking of pockets of excellence. We're talking from the perspective of a nation as a whole. Put yourself in the position of a company or a country that is looking to invest in Asia. And they can make one choice. The question is Thailand or another country. So it's in that point of view that I'd like you to look at this presentation. We do realize that Satyachula, Chulalongkorn University, Mahidol, and other distinguished universities in Thailand have some absolutely excellent programs in the field of education. That is not the question. My question is, what compels a company or a country, if we look at pockets of company, to hire away your best and your brightest? The thing about human resources is they have feet, and they can vote with their feet. So they have to look at opportunity, short, medium, and long term. And what we have found is the challenge is not just to educate, but to retain our talent. 6 months ago, the first week of July, in Malaysia, the head of Khazanah, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, working with the Prime Minister's office, created a new agency, the Talent Corporation. 3 weeks ago, I met with the head of the Talent Corporation. I'll be doing something with him in the coming months. But the Talent Corporation for Malaysia is what? The purpose is to identify outstanding Malaysian talent throughout the country and throughout the world, and to encourage their good talent to come home. But they won't come home if opportunity is not there. And the more talent they can attract back, the more investment they can attract in. So, as that is the base, let's take a look at our topic. Now, the topic has been divided into basically 4 parts. Part 1, very few slides. We want to look at where we are now. Part 2, where to go. Regionalization and globalization. I don't want to disappoint you, but if the message is we have to prepare for ASEAN, my answer is you're too late. 3 years is a short time. You need to prepare for globalization, which is not that far beyond 2015. 2015 is at your doorstep. 2020 is around the corner. If you only train your people to compete ASEAN-wide, they're not going to be competitive as they should be globally. I think the message in education, anywhere in the world, is to train your people to be the best, the brightest, the most capable, so I could take them out of where they are, put them anywhere in the world, and they can compete with the best. That has to be the message. So that's what we're talking of in terms of change. That is the ultimate benchmark. The third piece we have to look at is the process of change. Here I'd like to talk about some tools, techniques, models of change management. The majority of my presentation will look at what to change. Now again, I am not standing here as an authority on Thai education, but what I have been able to do is a little bit of research and some comparative analysis to put in perspective. Let's see where we are. Before I begin, I'd like you to answer to yourself, if you want to write it down or keep it in your mind, I'd like you to answer 2 questions. Question number 1. If you were to identify the single strongest aspect of Thai education, what is it? Put it down, either write it down or keep it in your mind. Question number 2. Question 2 goes back to the idea called the weakest link theory. A chain is only as strong as the weakest link. So therefore, if we want to look at Thai education, well, we look at the great. Let's look at the not so great. What is your Achilles heel? What is the single weakest aspect of the Thai educational system? Okay? So I'd like you to keep in mind, and we can deal with that as we move towards our discussion and towards the question and answer session. Now, with that in mind, let's begin. What exists? Now, to be able to answer this question, I spent some time researching, looking at reports by the World Bank, the ILO, the IMF, the United Nations Educational and Scientific Organization. I also looked at findings and reports from the Thai Research Council. So the findings that come up here are not my conclusions. They were the conclusions of national and international bodies looking at your system of education. First, let's look at education and contribution. This was from the internationally renowned consulting company called McKinsey. McKinsey has indicated if the U.S. had achieved a better educational system, our gross domestic product for the year 2010 would have been $1.3 to $1.7 trillion higher than it actually was. I am American, but I'm not standing before you to say the American system is the best. We have our own problems that we must address, and we have to invest, or we won't be an attractive place either. Now, Einstein once said, problems cannot be solved at the same level of awareness that created them. What does that mean? It means if you're inside the box, it's pretty hard to come up with a solution. Well, you stay inside the box. Sometimes what we have to do is stand outside the box and look in. Look at it with a different set of eyes. Well, let's look at what some of your fellows, your colleagues, national and other groups have said about the current state of Thai education. They have said, and I quote, "The quality of education, you have pockets of excellence, but it is not pervasive quality consistently throughout the structure." 2, you have poor STEM skills. In order to advance and sustain change, STEM is the magic word. That stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. If you look at the recent scores of PAT that were released 3 days ago, you find the average scores of Thai students on PAT do not cover you with glory. 3, you have fewer scientists than you should. Innovation, productivity, and change happen from having the right people in the right position, but also being able to create new things. 4, there's an emphasis upon the concrete rather than the abstract. We focus on what we can see, hear, smell, and touch. We put a lot of money into buildings, machines, facilities, but we don't pay as much attention to the quality of teaching in the classroom. Next, urban versus rural. One size does not fit all. So what we find is what may work well in Bangkok may not work well in other training. This is a problem. It's not just having teachers in the classroom, but it's having the right teachers there who are the leaders of the employees of tomorrow. We don't want somebody as a teacher in the classroom because they couldn't find any other job. We want the brightest to inspire the future of this country. That's how you build a nation. We want to look at technology skill. Handing out a laptop is one thing. Being able to use it is another. And we'll find that even in the United States, the state of Missouri required laptops, computer education brought into the classroom, digital age. But the vast majority of teachers in the state of Missouri were uncomfortable at best and ill-prepared at worst to implement the very facility the state was allowing. What else do we know? Your curriculum is very narrowly tracked. That's a nice way to say, I take a test and you tell me what will be my career. Well, my career started, I was an artist and a classical pianist. I have changed my major a dozen times. My degrees have all been in something else. No degree is the same. So if I look at this, I would not fit in the Thai model. Malaysia, for example, in talking with people in the Ministry of Education a few weeks ago, they said, we have a problem. Because we test our students, we tell them what they're going to study. Then when they come out with a degree, we wonder why they are not world-class economists. And then we sit back and we think, you know, they told economics was not in their heart to begin with. But that's what the state told them they had to study. If you don't have a passion, how can you excel? Improve teaching methods. You are seeing me do something I prefer not to do, which is lecture. My normal palette is 1, 3, 5 days. We go from morning, noon, and sometimes into night. And we work interactively in small groups, hands-on. What I'm doing at this moment is not natural for me. I can do it, but you'll probably retain 5 to 10%. We know that if you do hands-on, the retention factor is 75 to 82%. So if I can have you do first and listen later, we dramatically improve retention and enhance learning. Bureaucracy.